Hello, humans, and welcome to another episode of Gen X Gamer. Here we are, it's 2025, and we're still talking about the Intellivision Amico. That's right, the console that will never come out, the console that is dead, still keeps providing us with entertainment. Of course. Guys, I've been making this video, and I've been going back and forth because things happen, and and you keep adding stuff. In the course of making this video, I was even watching the no swear gamer, and I realized something while I was listening to him. Just listen to this part here. Go check out his videos too; they're pretty good. Check it out.
I do this for y'all. I hope you appreciate this because I am so tired of this song and dance. That's their spring update.
He got about as animated as I've ever seen, right? And then I started realizing, like, man, this is probably the reaction normal people would have, but not you, not me, right? We're some sick individuals. We're sitting here waiting for the next release, waiting for the next show, going, hit me again. Tap them. Tap them. So here we are, here you are, to listen to one Juanito Alvarado. Ay, Juanito! Telling us all this BS, straight up BS. These guys having no clue what he's doing, right? They're just like, oh, Tommy's my friend. I want to support this and that and the other. Well, let me tell you, Tommy was ousted out of the company, right? Back in 2022, late 2021, they kicked him out. They pushed him to the side. It doesn't matter what they want to claim right now, because that's what they did, because they wanted to take all the guts out of the company. Once he was out, he was even telling people there's going to be a 5% chance that this is going to come out, once I'm gone. And so it was true. And it wasn't friendly. That removal was not friendly. If you guys remember, he was sued for the furniture and they left him out in the cold. They didn't give him a lawyer, not a deposit, not anything. He had to represent himself. They didn't care about his credit. They didn't care about the public embarrassment. They didn't care about any of that. And what did he do? He pointed the finger straight back at Intellivision. But he was the guarantor on that, purchase. So there you go. So this whole notion that things are all hunky-dory in the background and they've been working again, no. John Alvarado works for the people with the money, whoever's going to pay him. And he makes some claims here that if you're part of, this show, or people that just don't understand business or reality, right, or common sense, you might believe, but not you, not me, not if you follow my channel. We follow the money. It's all about the money. At the end of the day, people just say words. It's hot air. But don't worry, we're going to deliver information with entertainment. So let's begin.
Here in this chat that, people are pretty upset about what happened with the
Yeah, $17 million, gets people pretty pissed.
Amico and the console not coming out on time and all that.
No, not coming out on time. It didn't come out at all.
And at a certain point, not that long ago, I started dealing with the support tickets because it had been neglected. When we were down to a skeleton crew and one person was doing it and that person left. And so there's a huge backlog of tickets. And a lot of them are pretty negative, people just venting. And rightly so, because they've been disappointed, in their expectations. And a lot of them are really accusing us of trying to scam people and that it was never real and things like that.
Well, the console is not real to them because they invested $17 million. People put $100 deposits, right, for various consoles that never came out. So they are not real to them, right? They didn't get their product. If you order food at the restaurant and it never comes, that food is never real to you. It might exist in the kitchen, but it's not on your plate.
You guys have heard that narrative before.
Oh, yeah, many times, yeah.
So, I just want to explain that, we started this company to make this console and all.
We started this company. It's very important. It's a we thing, right? That word means something. It means that he has an interest in the company. Whatever that company is, he's a part of it.
On this mission to bring family together. And we had every hope and expectation to succeed. Now, we were biting off a huge piece because making a new console is a huge endeavor. So we knew it was a high risk. And
it was a high risk for investors, right? If you're an investor, it's high risk, right? If you're getting paid, if you're getting a salary, regardless of whether the product comes out or not, it's not a risk for you, right? It's not a risk for the employee because they're getting a salary. Let's continue.
But we were, willing to try to make it happen. And things didn't go as we planned. Things took a lot longer than we expected. And ultimately, the company ran out of money before it could manufacture the console.
This is a cop-out right here, guys. Because remember, this is our team here. He's the chief technology officer. And as we have heard from the engineer, from the hardware engineer, he said that he delivered a complete console. Right? And engineers, let me tell you, they work the process. They work to spec. Whatever was designed, he made. Now, whether the software or everything else after that didn't get done, that's not up to the engineer. The console was complete. That's why you have molds. That's why you have boards. That's why you have everything else. That's why they're able to turn on. Right? So engineering-wise, the job was done. It was after that it wasn't. And it's just that you just don't run out of money. Right? That's just not what happens. Not in this company with what? Remember, it was 600 years of experience? These men know business. Some of them have degrees. Guys, and in any company this size, right, and especially in a new venture, even the insurance company will ask you, well, show me your business plan. Show me what you're going to do. Show me your operations, right? And this is, guys, this is to some of you it might be new, but this is first year of business school. You learn this, right? Decision trees. This should be part of your plan, right? What happens if something doesn't go right is a part in any development process of any new product, right? And success and failure branches in the tree are all part of it. When you fail, you don't continue. You have to make a decision. You know exactly how much you're going to lose. All this is planned ahead of time. And whether you stop production because of an earthquake, a pandemic, the factory caught on fire, right? Anything. There's a tree. There's a plan for that, right? That's why the insurance company requests that you have all these things. This is standard practice unless they didn't buy insurance and they just didn't do anything in the background, right? But if you remember, they had all these brochures for investors and that and that and the other. So there's people with business backgrounds in there, right? This would have been part of it, right? In any company that manufactures anything, you're going to find decision trees, right? Like this one. You want to make a temperature sensor, right? What's the development cost? 100 grand. What about a pressure sensor? Only 10,000. What if I make neither? Zero. What if you proceed? Okay, let's proceed. If the development outcome is success, you could expect sales revenue of $1 million and a profit of 900,000. If you fail, you get zero. Right now, they get more complicated than this, but the only reason I'm showing you this is because this is part of any business plan. It doesn't matter what happened. It doesn't matter what happened, but what we know for a fact is that the console was complete. That's why you have that's why you have models at work. These people are testing. Also, we know for a fact that you had a lot of software problems, specifically with the controllers. Right? And whose responsibility is that? Is it Tommy Tallarico's that he was just doing the marketing, or is it the responsibility of one John Alvarado? Right? Tommy Tallarico's not an engineer. Tommy Tallarico is a musician, right, that markets. That's what he does. Right? So the failure, as far as we can see, right, specifically, right, if we delineate the timeline from when Tommy was kicked out of the company, right, to where we are now, reportedly 440,000 in the hole in taxes, if this document is to be believed, right? It all falls on the new leadership. This is 2 years right here, right? Tommy wasn't there. Tommy wasn't pulling the strings. Tommy was not the one that said, don't pay the taxes. Let me tell you, this is going to be a huge problem. Somebody's got to pay this. Now, if I had to guess, if these are real, since you have an annual tax assessment of $200,000, this looks like 2 years worth of taxes with interest to me. But $200,000 is a pretty square figure. It could be that the state just assessed that because nobody filed anything with them. So the figure might be less because we know they haven't sold, as far as we know, haven't sold any goods unless they've been selling other assets. And this is the tax on them, which means they sold quite a lot, right? But let's continue with this nice bedtime story that we're hearing here from Mr. Juanito Alvarado.
Our last fundraiser that we tried to do to get the money we would need to manufacture, crashed and burned. It didn't work out. There were a lot of people naysaying it and naysaying us at the time, so that affected it. But ultimately, when that closed down, that really put us off at the knees. So
no, it didn't cut you off at the knees. That's not what cut you off at the knees. What cut you off at the knees is that you put down $1 million to produce consoles, and then didn't have production. You didn't have all your ducks lined up in a row to put the lines, to operate the lines, because the software wasn't done and some other things wasn't done, but the engineering was done. You just couldn't put it together. And now all those things have lapsed. If they're going to make a console, guys, God knows what kind of console they're going to make, but it's not going to be what they first promised.
We continued. That was like 2022, I think, early, maybe March, something like that. And we continued on. We had to pretty soon lay off a lot of people right after that. And we still had enough people that we went on and created pilot units that we sent out to a lot of people for testing, just to show these things really work. They're real. We sent it to people outside of the company. And, you received one, Chuck and Mike Mullis, and several other people, to show that it was real. We had it. It's something that we could manufacture if we had money, but we didn't have the money anymore. And we were hoping that doing that would allow us to kind of pull in some investment, someone that would be interested and say, okay, yeah, let's make this. But that didn't happen. So after a while, we had to basically lay off everybody, including me.
No. So, yeah, I know. And a lot of times you were working for free, trying to
working for free. How is that? Think about it for a second. Let's let him continue.
just keep it going.
Well, exactly. So at that point, we could have just packed it in and said, well, we tried, we failed, we'll declare bankruptcy, and that would have been the end, and nobody.
Could you declare bankruptcy, though? Right? Were there contracts in place that maybe prevented some actions from taking place? Yeah, you could declare bankruptcy for, the customers, everybody that got screwed out of the deposits. But I don't know, right? I'm not a lawyer. He's not a lawyer. He's just asserting that, right? Because if you owe people within the company and you don't have the money, are you going to stiff the people that started the company, the people with outstanding loans? Is Sudesh just going to take it lying down? You think that a man that's worth $330 million is going to say, meh, okay, I lost. I don't think so. Not the other investors either that don't have $330 million. They might take it a different way. Now, this whole notion that they're working for free is absolute horse manure, right? It's just like saying, let's say that you own your own candy store or your own liquor store and you work there and you don't pay yourself. You're just deferring your money. You're not taking it right now. You're deferring your compensation. You're the owner of the store. If the store does well, even if you don't pay yourself, eventually you're going to take something out. The store becomes more valuable. And then you sell it and then you take your cut there. But you're not working for free. Not if you have an interest, right? And if anything, you could say, well, this guy has gotten paid ahead of time because he was earning all that money and never produced anything.
He would have gotten any refunds back. No one would have gotten a console. No one would have ever played the games. But a few of us, a handful of us, including me,
nobody would ever play those games. Those games are different than the games you produce now. Because those games on the console were going to compensate investors. These new games don't compensate investors at all. Nor they compensate the people with pre-orders. Because you guys don't even have the decency of giving out free codes for some of the boxes that I'm staring at over here, right? That are collectibles now. I don't know how, right? The physical products, right? You think those people would get a free code since you already spent the money on there and the console's never coming out, right? And we know that because we're in the hole. How much? $440,000. Who's going to pay that? Oh, that's going to be an interesting battle, let me tell you. A very interesting battle. I hope to see in the courtroom somewhere, right? So we can cover that. And let me tell you, those court papers will be interesting if that ever happens.
decided that we want to try to keep this alive, and we're willing to work for free for a while.
You're not working for free. It's not how this works, right? Let's take it to the tape here, right? He's working all these things. Date of service. These are the Edgar papers. These are to the government, right? We're not going to lie to the government. Mira, Juanito, you got in 2020 $174,000 of dollars. Oh, plus $1,000 of stock options. Those were the Lord's cheaps. The Lord's cheaps. And look at this, $156,000 annually in 2021. Equity compensation will not be determined until Q1 2022. Equity compensation for something that failed? Oh man, isn't that a nice package? Have you guys ever gone to work and failed at something completely to where you lose this much money and still get bonuses? And still get equity compensation? Equity means you get a slice of the company. Not working for free. Hello? Anybody listening? It's not free. Hello? Amico forever. Testers, hello? Let's keep listening to the horse manure.
To at least try out this other idea. Well, let's get these games out as software on other platforms and see if we can leverage the work that we've done on the games to create some revenue and keep going and try to repair the company to the point where we could then start generating money, maybe attract some investment and get back to the goal of creating the console. And so
never going to happen. And let me tell you why. Let's pretend, right, that Mr. Tommy Tallarico hires me and says, what do I do? What am I going to assess? Right? I go on performance. You have an employee here that has failed to deliver for years. Now, the beloved leader is loyal to a fault. Right? What has this man produced? He's produced 9 cell phone type games, maybe? Has failed to generate revenue. The company has not been profitable under any leadership. Right? Being profitable is different than raising money. You can raise money, you can collect money, you can, ask for donations and investments and all this stuff, but that is not the function of the company. The function of the company is to make products, sell them, and create revenue. It's very simple. It's not that hard. But this man has failed to do that. Now, if he was able to succeed, right, and he comes to me and says, look, we sold, Finnegan Fox became the next Mario Brothers, and now I got $10 million. Do you think I'm going to advise, or any business, person or analyst out there, given this crew's record, would advise anybody with $10 million to make a console? No, they're not. If they hire you, you're working on the behest of the owners of the company. You're not working for the customers. Right? You're not there as a customer advocate. You're there to look for the best interest of the owners of the company or the people that hire you. And what I'm going to tell them is, no, this is absolutely not. You're going to be burning money. You're going to crash the company. Rinse and repeat. Right? Your job is to make a profit. Now you have this LLC that has nothing to do with the previous LLC. You guys are paying yourselves the same way, right? Because the money wasn't, any of the revenue that has been raised after Tommy left, none of it has been used to pay the customers back. Absolutely none. It's gone into salaries and to compensate the owners of the company. Sure as hell wasn't spent on the games, right? Because not all the box games are produced. Not all the packing games are produced to any satisfactory method. And now he's acting like he's doing us a favor by working on these games, quote unquote, for free so we could experience them. Oh, how blessed we are. Oh, the blessings. Ay, Juanito, no mames.
We were doing that, and then we sold some IPs, including the Intellivision brand, which was a huge one.
The classic.
And where'd that money go? Did it go to the refunds? No. No. Did it go into hardware? No. Did it go into the founder? No. It went back to the owners in salaries.
Yeah.
To get some money to kind of keep us alive as we're going, because you can't work for free forever.
You're not working for free. If it's your own business, if you own part of the business, it ain't free. You're just delaying your compensation. And look at him, he's pissed. I didn't get my money. He's used to the 174K, right? 156 in 2021. If we keep it to the lowest, this guy worked there for 4 years. What is that? 600,000? 600,000. Oh, man. Oh, the joy. The joy that it must be. Let's continue.
But, taking very little pay to keep going and try to keep the dream alive. And that's what we've been doing. So while I understand people's frustrations, it's also frustrating for me personally to receive those comments when I'm the person trying to make sure that everybody gets either their refund or their hopefully the latter, right? And so, but I understand, and I try, like, every time we do an announcement, we get a lot of emails.
Let me ask you guys. I can see where the frustration comes. Everybody's blaming you, right? But, for $150,000 a year, if I had made, right, because I'm sure that they're not lying to the government, right? If I had made, 156K for 4 years, I'd be writing emails all day going, hey, you ain't getting it. You're not getting it because I'm counting my money. I'm counting my money and my stock options, baby. Not only in this company, but whatever we produce later. This is the golden goose. Go ahead, send me all that hate. I'll be counting checks.
A few good comments, but a lot of negative comments, and I'm trying to answer those as best I can and try to help people understand the situation and why I'm trying to work for them. I'm not their enemy, So, as I mentioned, being down to skeleton crew, I had to take over the support tickets, and there were a lot of them. There were so many, and sometimes people, when you stop answering support tickets, people send them multiple times saying, "Answer me, why haven't you answered me?"
Yeah, because you never get an answer, right? Never get an answer, right? But we've destroyed this notion of free, right? Nothing's happening there for free. Even if nobody's taking money, they took money in the past and they have options. And now there's new companies, right? And this claim of risk for him, no. Let's have our old friend Goose here have Tommy explain how low the risk was.
To minimize the risk. That way, we make sure that the people who really believe in us get paid on the actual revenue we make. And no one from the equity investors we bring in to all the co-founders.
Wait, what? Well, that was Tommy's idea, but, after he left,
can get in the way of that revenue share.
They got in the way. They really got in the way.
It's set in stone. Like I said, I wanted this deal to have less risk for angels. So
less risk for angels. Right? Now, Juanito claims that he's having the risk, right? Juanito, with all this cashola right here, he's taking the risk. Juanito, the head of the company, right? And it's, what is it that triggered these guys back in the day? Intellectual dishonesty. To not be talking about how the company's 440 in the hole. Huh? How we didn't talk about this or address it. What are you going to do? I mean, how is this person going to do soft selling on Amico Forever, right? Because it's really soft begging what he's doing. And it's going right over these guys' heads, right? They took in all this money, didn't pay taxes, right? And and they're still out here claiming that they're working for you. For you. They're doing this for you. They're not doing it for themselves. All these games up here, they're coming out there for you so you could try them. Even though you paid for them already, right? They're going to give you the opportunity of paying for them again so you can try them. Now here comes one, Mike Mullis, who was fighting the whole of the internet, fighting trolls on the internet, insufferable, would go to all the channels and start, whoever was criticizing Tommy would go over and fight with him. And of course, he's the victim now. And guys, I can't unsee this, so you shouldn't be able to. What's going on here? Halloween, hello. Oh, man. And here he is, right? How can I make this conversation about myself? This guy acts like the drunk guy at a party. You know how somebody drinks too much and their personality changes and they turn into a real a-hole? Well, this is Mike, except sober. He does it sober.
If you grant me a second, because I've had some pent up, I've had some pent up stuff. And I'm not. Hello, everybody. This is a rare YouTube sighting for me. I don't
Yes,
use
you
YouTube
ran away.
anymore. I basically left because of this. Not because of you guys, of course, but because some of those people who are probably watching, like you, Chuck, they hate me because
First of all, nobody hates DJC. Right? There's only two people that I could say were hated ever, and that's you and Relic Gamer, because both of you would go out there and pick fights for no reason. No reason. Right? The only reason was that they were criticizing Tommy Tallarico and the Amico, and you would go out there and fight with people. Right? And let me show you how this is. Right? Remember I made this? Look who showed up. Still living rent-free in your head. Nobody's even talking to him. Nobody's even talking to him. The last time I saw him was somebody made a video about him and his bankruptcy, right? Well, he was saying something. So let's remind the people, right, who's who Relic Gamer is, right? When he's not fighting on the internet or yelling at women, this is what he's doing.
I just keep buying games.
Oh, he about to flex. He's about to flex
because I have the money to do so. I make good money. I own this house.
What? Oh, this house. He owns this house.
All this stuff you see behind here, paid cash for.
The flex paid cash money. Cash money. You tell him, boy.
Or if they had a life.
Oh, I don't have a life.
Like me.
Like you.
Like this guy.
Oh, like this guy. Look how you say it. Like this guy. Yeah. You about to flex.
You would be more successful.
Oh, Jesus Christ. That hits you in the heart, doesn't it? You guys are here watching this video instead of being out there being more successful. Oh, man.
Okay.
Once you declare bankruptcy, I think you should be more humble, right? Because it can happen to anybody. And of course, there's unanswered questions. Right, glad to see there was an update for the console. Do we know if there will be a Republic update as well? Hello? Earthworm Jim 4 status. Is that still a thing? Might be. I don't know. How come the Amico isn't self-publishing on the Switch? Could be that $440,000 bill. Or the fact that California suspended their license allegedly. I don't know. Right? This is what's being reported out there. They haven't addressed it or anything, right? And you can see the other comments here. Why can't the marketing fund be used to pay refunds? That's right. Why can't the marketing fund? Oh, that famous marketing fund. Huh? Remember? We've heard that before. Oh, we haven't marketed yet, right? We haven't done the real marketing yet. No, those are just salary monies. Oh, man. And so many other unanswered questions here. 400 in debt, 400,000 debt. It comes back up. Why? Can you indicate approximately the number of refunds still in the QE? I mean, these are all problems that still need to be addressed. Any comment on the Delaware Amico company being over 400 in debt? Those are the questions, right, that are not being asked here. These are the non-critical questions. So if you ask me, right, why I don't go in on these guys, or I'm meaner. Look, I can't do anything worse than what they're doing now. If you ask me if I would go and talk with a company that has a $400,000 bill and that has been suspended by California according to reports, I need to ask them about that, right? It would be, here's the triggering words, intellectually dishonest for me not to do so, to talk about anything else, to talk about things I don't know, right? To talk about people that are working for free that are getting stock in the background, right? I know this. I don't know that these guys know this, right? But I couldn't do it. People just go like, why didn't you ask them this? Why didn't you ask them that? Why didn't you ask them these questions that are being asked on the chat that are not answered? And if you want to know the patheticness of this company, this group of men that is running things right now, right? That betrayed the great one, the leader, in my point of view, is that they don't know what they're doing. If Tommy has a fault, just still being with these guys that really don't have what it takes to produce the kind of games he wants to produce. Period. He spent the money on these guys. All this is wasted salary. And there's a Substack that I write, guys, if you guys want to go check it out. And this is, whatever I don't put on the channel or scripts, I put on here, and you can see my writings on there. So, for example, for this particular post, I even go over the math, right? And I show you the return on investment on this is absolute trash. And there's many, right? There's many instances of people making games like this. One person made this over 3 years on his own, right? And it's not only that. Now look at RetroBro. RetroBro is putting him to shame, right? Regardless of what you think, right? Regardless of what you think, this guy's about to hit 12 grand. He's made a game already that's published on Steam. It's $1.99, probably what the games, what these games are worth right now, because nobody wants to buy them, right? But when's the last time that you heard of an Amico game making over $10,000? I can't remember, right? And his game is selling for what? I bought the limited Maverick edition, but these games, $12 digital, $40 and $60 physical, right? Why can't these guys do this? Guys, RetroBro just learned how to make games. Literally just learned how to make games about a year and a half ago, if I'm not mistaken. And even his marketing is better, right? This is how unexcusable the failure of these games is. He's already doing like basic marketing. He's shipping cartridges out there. You have different YouTubers talking about it. You know why? Because these products exist. Like, you can actually put it in your hand, right? This is made for the NES, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you make it for. The whole purpose of a business is to make money, right? If you would have asked me 6 years ago and would have told me that the RetroBro would be that RetroBro would be more successful at generating revenue than John Alvarado, I would have told you were crazy, because John Alvarado has all this experience, and he's got this team, even if he wanted to on his own. So you answer me the question, how is it that a man working out of his house that just learned how to make games about a year and a half ago is raising this kind of capital when you have the whole infrastructure of Intellivision that can't get anybody to look at their games objectively? They can't send games out to people to even do this, to come up with ideas that people may want to play or may want to invest to this level, right? That's the failure of this company. They can't make anything like this. I mean, who's going to invest on any other games? Can you imagine them trying to crowdfund a game right now? Unless Tommy comes back. That's the one thing, guys. That's the one thing. That's what keeps the story alive. Because if Tommy Tallarico were to come back and crowdfund a game, I'm telling you, even those people who hate him the most, I'm telling you right now, it would get crowdfunded. It would. How can I tell you this? Because the people that invested through all this whole time, throughout this whole saga, I want to say 9 out of 10 that I've ever talked to, they'd say, for Tommy, I'd do it again. Just like the Intellivision Amico Forever crew, right? That's the kind of individual you're looking at. But there's no excuse for this company not producing revenue, right? Will they be successful under Happy Home Games? Maybe a little, but don't hold your breath as far as, getting a console. No business analyst in their right mind would tell them to make one, especially if they become profitable. But the fact that a man that didn't know how to make video games, 2 years ago, is outselling them right now should embarrass the hell out of them. All right, humans, they will be more. I mean, I could just put, that was just one section. Look at all this content that we got out of one section of the Amico Forever. See, this is why I tell you, Don't cancel anybody out, right? This is why I don't want to drive anybody. I want everybody to keep making content, because these are concepts and ideas that you can use for yourself, right? The marketing ideas that I'm giving you are things that may happen to you in market, whether it's soft selling, soft begging, as we call it, subliminal messages. We're trying to do the right thing, yada, yada, yada. Don't talk about the $17 million. It's stuff that happens all the time, right? But at the end of the day, if you're looking at this, right, who's going to have more credibility? Let's say that the next time Retro Bro, after this campaign, if he delivers, right, if he delivers all the games on time and whatever, who are you going to trust more, Retro Bro or John Alvarado? And I'm sure they're both, good people, whatever. I don't know anybody personally, right? What I judge is results. What I judge is, where is the money going? It's not going to the customers. It's not going to the investors. It's not going to refunds. But only one is producing physical products that people can touch, that people can market, right? That people can play. And it's just unbelievable that in 2025, we're still at this spot. Oh my Lord, there's going to be so much more coming, guys, because these guys want to market that Happy Home Games, and they still want to pull out bucks out of this company. Oh man, it sure is going to be fun. I don't know what else they're going to come up with, but I have another video still from this Amico Forever. All right, guys, I'll catch you on the next one. Take care.